Hey, thanks for stopping by. I found something interesting regarding the Brian Kohberger case that I thought I would share with you. I believe it was shortly after he was arrested. I came across a screenshot. I'm not sure where I found it, but I thought it was quite interesting and thought you might find it just as interesting as well. So let me know what you think in the comments below. As most of you may know, that after a suspect is arrested and the name is put out in the media, that most oftentimes people will do a search on that person's name to find out their history and social media presence. And someone had done just that. They found Brian Kohberger's name linked to a Strava app. What is Strava? Let's find out. According to Google, Strava is a social network for athletes. And it was later found out that Brian Kohberger was an avid runner. Strava records an activity, so it's often used by runners as well as bikers, and it gets loaded to their Strava feed where their friends and followers can share their own races and workouts as well and challenge each other. And this is the screenshot that I found so interesting. Allegedly, this is Brian Kohberger's Strava data from a run he did in the afternoon of November 13th of 2022 at 1:04 p.m. While I can't confirm the legitimacy of this screenshot, it is interesting to note that it is on the same day that the murders happened, and the route that it shows there on the bottom of the screen, starting in red, begins at his apartment at Steptoe Village and goes all the way into Moscow, Idaho, into the perimeter of the University of Idaho campus. Now, I wouldn't have thought twice about that screenshot, but later we came to find out that as part of the search warrant, there was one served to Strava Inc. in San Francisco regarding Brian Kohberger's data. Upon further investigation, I found that he ran the Bill Chipman Palouse Trail, which is a trail that begins in Pullman, Washington, and runs into Moscow, Idaho. The trail was built alongside an abandoned railroad line that travels along the Pullman-Moscow Highway and alongside Paradise Creek. And I've wondered if this data from Strava is correct, and he did take that afternoon run back into Moscow, Idaho. Was he going there just to release maybe this adrenaline that he had built up after allegedly committing the murders? Or did he just want to take a run to go see if there was any police activity going on? I'm not sure if we'll ever know. Hopefully as the trial draws near, we will find more answers to our questions. I thought it would be interesting to see what the trail looked like, and came to know that it's about 15 miles, starting from Pullman, Washington, into Idaho, and then back again. There's plenty of rolling wheat fields, some beautiful farmland. It passes over Paradise Creek about 13 times. And just thinking about that, if Brian Kohberger is the murderer and he did have the weapon, could he have discarded it along this trail? And due to the fact that most everything in this case so far has been sealed or redacted, there are so many unanswered questions. I guess we'll find out them as the case comes to trial. Is he the murderer? And if so, what was his motive? And another thing I'm really wondering is, where is the weapon? Did he hide it somewhere that night on that drive that he took? Or maybe later that day on this run? And just thinking about all the places that a murder weapon could have been hidden, I was looking at some pictures that people had posted about the trail and came across this piece of art that I thought was quite interesting. Under one of the trail reviews, someone had posted this image of this giant blue heart, approximately 12 feet tall, called the Technicolor heart, or on campus known as the Big Blue Heart. The sculpture is actually not alongside the trail, but located on Washington State University's campus. What I first noticed about this piece of art was all the different objects that were attached to it, and how some of them were quite unusual, like hammers and different types of tools. And maybe I'll blame this on midnight ponderings, but I looked at that and thought, wow, wouldn't that be a great place to hide a murder weapon? I mean, just look at it. How easy would that be? To splash some paint on that knife and then attach it in some way to that heart. I think most people that might see a knife on there wouldn't even think twice about it. Now, while I don't think that's the case at all, I did find it quite interesting and seemed like something that you might read in a fictional crime novel or something like that. Time and evidence will tell if Brian Kohberger is guilty of committing these atrocious murders. I'll leave you with this quote. It's a well-known aphorism from Carl Sagan. He said, "Absence of proof is not proof of absence," or in other words, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Basically, that means preliminary evidence on its own is not proof, but may be a pointer in that direction. May justice be found for all the victims involved.